Hello and welcome to the show. Today we're thrilled to have with us our guest, Rouba Chalabi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. So delighted to be with you here.
You have a very important topic, particularly for women. We all deal with this, but I think women have a lot more issues dealing with that. So let's get started by having you tell the audience about yourself.
Okay, so I'm Ruba. I'm a breathworker, food addiction counselor, and author of Beyond the Emptiness, How I Found Fullness Outside of Food. Um, so why did I write this book? Because I was an overeater and hardworking achiever for the first 40 years of my life. And then I went through an awakening that led me to really move from fighting to befriending my body, which led me to release 1/3 of my weight and sustain it for almost 8 years now.
Awesome. That is an incredible story and an incredible success story. So let's get started. What do you think leads to, the food addiction for the average woman?
A lot of things, because what happens is there is a lot of fixation in society and among mothers around the eating behavior. If you are an overeater or you are a child growing up with a large appetite, there's too much focus on why are you overeating? Stop overeating. And people don't get to realize that overeating is not the problem. It's the consequence of other issues. And basically, this craving and hunger is not actually a hunger for food. It's a hunger for connection. It's a hunger for self-care. And in the absence of this connection and in the absence of this self-care, overeaters reach out to food as the tranquilizer, as the energizer, as the supporter, as the abusive lover. So the question is, when we talk about why is a person overeating, I can twist the question, why is the person divorced from themselves? What leads a child to be divorced from their body? Because if you are connected to your body, you're not going to sabotage your body. You're not going to mistreat your body. So at the core of this overeating is a total divorce from the body. And the separation is the outcome of childhood trauma. Of course, there are genetic predispositions to overeating. There are genetic predispositions to food addiction. In terms of not all overeaters are food addicts. You have emotional eaters as well. And you have food addicts. So at the core of this is when a mother is raising a child, a baby, and the baby cries, the caregiver takes the baby up, calms the baby down, soothes the nervous system of the baby. The baby learns, I should not fear feeling discomfort, because whenever I have discomfort, I know how to take my body. I am supported in taking my body from discomfort to tranquility. So there is no need for overeating because the nervous system can move from turbulent nervous system to a calm nervous system. However, if a mother is preoccupied or the old belief systems around rigid schedule and rigid feeding schedule, or the mom is not emotionally connected to herself, the baby cries, she might think she's disciplining the baby, does not pick up the baby. What happens? The baby realizes nobody cares about me. If I cry, no one comes. So I should not get myself in a situation of discomfort. I should swallow my discomfort because my discomfort is inconvenient. I'm going to swallow it. And even when I feel uncomfortable, I'm not going to express it out because this is something that will not be resolved. And for some people, the coping mechanism, the tranquilizer, is the food, especially if the mom is not attuned to the body signals of the child, or the caregiver is not attuned to the body signals of the child. So food becomes the solution to everything. And this is when the wiring of the brain starts as a baby, where you associate discomfort, I go to food. So the divorce from the body and the separation from the body starts at a very young age, before the brain was developed, which explains why as adults we wonder, why doesn't our body listen to us? I want to stop overeating, but why do I keep on overeating?
I like your brain emotion connection. There's a tremendous amount behind that. And even as we grow older, now we know some food scientists have figured out just the right combination of fat, sugar, salt, and they add all these other chemicals in to create these hyper palatable foods that just taste so good. And then once you eat them, they trigger the pleasure centers in your brain, the same ones that are triggered with sex and opiates. And so there's a lot of science behind, I don't feel good. This food triggers my pleasure centers. Let me get more and more and more of it. And it's very hard to cut back on that. And it's actually rewiring your metabolism, because some of these foods are toxic. So when you say, okay, let me cut back some, then your brain says, okay, well, let me lower the metabolism so we can maintain your weight. And it's just a very vicious cycle. It's so hard to break. So you have a tremendous success story. So tell us what, you found that really gave you a miraculous breakthrough. What worked well for you?
I used to work in a food company. I used to work in a chocolate factory, one of the leading chocolate companies in the world. So I totally resonate with what you're saying. And my turning point happened at a time where I was working there on a site of a chocolate factory, where I would enter and it literally smelled as if my nose was in a hot chocolate cup. That's how the factory smelled, the site where we worked smelled. There was chocolate everywhere. And at that time, I was eating 3 bars of chocolate a day. And it started from a point where I was miserable. Even though my life looked amazing on paper, I was miserable. I was successful. Everybody used to admire my success. I was a vice president. I've had a stellar career. I was very determined and focused and serious. But I was 39 and I was miserable. There was a dissonance in my mind between my life looks good, but I am miserable. And it wasn't really convenient for anyone to understand my misery or to understand what I'm going through. Look at you, you have an amazing life. But the reality was, I was a workaholic. I was constantly traveling. I felt everybody was abusing me, sucking my blood, whether it was the employees, my coworkers, upper management, global management, my family, everyone. I just felt depleted. I just felt like, and that really took me into a thinking process of realizing that all of my life I had focused on taking care of others, of making others happy, of attending to others. And the reality was, the person to which I had a direct span of control, myself, I was neglecting her the most.
That is so common, particularly among women. you get on a plane, the stewardess says, okay, put your mask on first and then put it on the kids. But women, we've been socialized that we pour out everything, we give everything. And then we wake up one day and we're just like, it's like a balloon that's just been let out. We acknowledge, this is just not working. I have nothing left. And you're like running on fumes.
Mm.
So you woke up one day, you realize, this is just not working. What was your first step to moving forward?
Yeah, so this realization came after 6 months of taking spiritual courses and connecting to my intuition and to really understanding what was happening in my life. And I came to this realization. So what I decided to do, I'm like, Rouba is going to show Rouba that she loves her through action. Because it wasn't theoretical. I thought I loved myself. Being that successful with very limited time, I would pamper myself, I would pamper my family, I would buy myself stuff. And I thought that was self-love, only to realize that self-love is all free of charge.
I love that. That is so true.
And hence started my project of Rouba was going to prove to Rouba that she loves her. And being an overeater, or being anyone, whenever we decide we want to do something, right now we joke sometimes and we say that Google and the phone algorithms read our minds and then we start having ads and stuff. But the reality is when we put our attention and we put our energy and focus on a project, even though we don't have any step in the project, the universe will conspire to show us windows of opportunities. And this is what happened. I bumped into a friend that had lost a lot of weight. She told me about her program. She was doing a food addiction recovery program. It resonated with me, even though I didn't ask a lot of questions. I mean, she was a living proof that it's something that works out. I signed up. I bumped into her in December and I'm like, okay, January, that was 8 years, almost 8 years ago. Rouba is going to start a new year proving to herself that she loves herself. And that's how I got into food addiction recovery. If I knew that the program involved stopping sugar and flour, I'm not sure if I would have gone. Thankfully, I didn't know. I just went with a very, very open mind and stopped cold turkey, sugar and flour, the tranquilizers, the abusive lovers that were numbing me from everything else in life. And what happened was a journey, which is still until today, of living life without having to use a tranquilizer. Restoring my relationship with myself, understanding how my body operates, eating enough because I always felt I was undeserving of food, so I would not eat enough and then binge. Versus right now, I eat an abundance of wholesome food that I feel I'm totally deserving of. But most importantly, there are a zillion diets out there. I don't think that the diet is the rock science, because you can go to a dietitian and they can give you 1,000 ways to lose weight. I chose the food addiction recovery way of stopping sugar, of stopping flour, and doing an inside out transformation that really involved discovering, how does this body like to operate? What are the needs and the likes of this body? I had no clue. What does Rouba like? I had no idea what Rouba likes. And many times it's not about what more things we're supposed to do. It's about the basic things that we don't give ourselves permission to do. It's giving ourselves permission to slow down and rest. Giving ourselves permission to say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm feeling tired and I need to rest. This is not something that excites me to do. I'm not going to do it. This person sucks my energy. I am choosing not to spend time with this person. Going to this place is not a good investment of me because it's a very triggering place that will activate my frustration. And rest. The amount, I see that so much with my clients, is this deprivation from rest. Not giving ourselves permission to rest. In this culture of hustling, of success, of hardworking achievers, rest is a taboo. And there's a reason why we end up where we are, because not allowing ourselves to rest is a trauma response. Because deep inside, in our childhood, we felt we were not good enough, that we constantly need to do more and more and more. And a lot of the society is into performance, is into doing, and not enough into being and understanding and connecting to the body and understanding how this body operates. And I always give the example, you overeat because there's an operating system that you have imposed on the body, and this operating system is not adapted to your body. So it's a journey of connecting within, of understanding this body, of taking care of this body, and discovering what's the best way to run my body, to deal with my body, to befriend my body, so that I'm not the person, the frustrated, anxious person that wants to overeat.
You have given a lot of very important information. We're going to touch on some of those things when we come back right after our break. Hello, I am Coach Dr. Ann, and welcome to the World of Women Wellness Warriors, other known as WOW. A 2024 report by the World Economic Forum and the McKinsey Health Institute noted that each year women lose approximately 75 million years of life due to poor health and early death. The World of Women Wellness Warriors is a global sisterhood of women who want to be empowered. Welcome back to the show. And we were talking about the importance of cutting out like white flour and sugar. And we now know that these ultra-processed foods, they lead to a variety of diseases, premature death, and so forth. I mean, they're linked to everything from inflammation, heart disease, diabetes, you name it, it just keeps going. And so, you were wise, you learned a while back, which is great, that is not what your body craves. And you have made tremendous strides. And I really admire the transformation you made, realizing the importance of self-care. And I love you're saying self-care costs you nothing. That should be a t-shirt. So I want to talk about the book you wrote. Tell us about the book.
Okay, so this is the book, Beyond the Emptiness, How I Found Fullness Outside of Food. And you can check it out through the link to the video. So I wrote the book because I felt I owed it to overeaters out there to give them hope. Because of the misconception that overeating is the problem, I wanted to demonstrate through my personal story the childhood reasons and the childhood trauma and the childhood circumstances that leads a person to become an overeater and a high achiever. Because understanding what is the cause of your overeating opens the door to a solution. And until I went through my journey, until today in all of my conversations, many overeaters feel so guilty about not being able to eat less and exercise more thinking that eating less and exercising more is the solution. And what I am proposing through my book, through sharing my story, is explaining how I recovered from overeating through a transformation that involved my mind, my body, my soul. It's an inside-out transformation that involved breaking up with my abusive lover, which is food. And very much, as you said, it's not lettuce and tomatoes. Actually, lettuce and tomatoes, I never ate them before. It was chocolate, sweets, food that was high in sugar and high in flour. And the thing is, the last thing an overeater wants to do is break up with food. Because in the unconscious mind, there's a mix, there's a confusion between food and love. You think that food is love because you are love deprived. And there comes a moment where I got to realize that food is not love. This is an abusive lover. And I want to learn how to eat the proper way because I don't want to be a victim of food. I don't want to have a dependency on food, very much like alcoholism, drug addiction, and smoking. I don't want food to dominate me, to control me. I want to be the person who can live an abundant life and manage stress and deal with everything outside of the equation of food. And that's what I demonstrate throughout the book and throughout my story.
Wow. So many women need to hear your message. That's awesome that you put it down on paper so other people can share, what you've been through, because I'm sure it's going to help a lot of women in their own journeys. And you said that there's going to be a link in the description to this video. So is it available elsewhere or just through your website?
No, so the book is available on Amazon. Depending on where the person is, it's available on Amazon. They can order an actual copy of the book, or they can buy an ebook, and it's available on most Amazons around the world. And I'll be providing a book. I will be providing a link to my website, and through that website they can click. But what you can do is just type the name of the book in your local Amazon site, and you will be able to access it.
And hold up your book one more time and tell us the name of it again, please.
Excuse me, what did you say?
Hold up the book again and tell us the name of it again.
Yeah, it's Beyond the Emptiness, How I Found Fullness Outside of Food.
Great. All right. Well, I hope many, many women pick up this book because food addiction is real. And as an internal medicine doctor, I have seen the impact. I have seen the lives destroyed, the people dying early, the families devastated. And if people can pick up your book and they can learn some skills that can help decrease their risk of falling into that trap, then that will be incredible. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ann, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Mine too. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.